Hey everybody, you're going to want to catch this podcast. I've got a stack of porn in front of me, and we're going to dive into it with our very special guest. Stay tuned. You must see this episode of our Real Life podcast.
Real Life presents the Jack Hibbs podcast with intention and boldness to proclaim truth, equip the saints, and impact our culture. Today, if this podcast lifts you up and encourages you to live a more fulfilled life in Christ, then make sure you leave us one of those 5-star ratings. To us, that's like saying amen or yes. Then that rating will encourage others to listen. Now open your hearts to what God's Word has to say to you. Here is Jack Hibbs.
Well, everybody, welcome to today's podcast. And like never before, we need to give you maybe numerous times warnings, disclaimers. The material that you are about to hear will be shocking. It will be pornographic. It will be dangerous to young ears. We are going to take on the great trending issue of how to mentally molest your children in the public school system, thereby setting them up for the day of actual physical molestation, to get them to think it's okay to go through the horrific abuse of rape in the name of education, or rape in the name of this is the way it is, or aberrant, bizarre sexuality. Let me insert this before I introduce our guest and what it all means here real quick in Scripture. Number one is, remember this, that the Bible says in the last days before Christ returns and before the world is plunged into absolute bizarre darkness, the Bible says that we will have to contend with doctrines of demons. Doctrines. The word doctrine means teachings of demons and spiritual wickedness. Okay? Now, for those things to manifest themselves, okay, and for invisible entities to show themselves, they use human beings. And they have humans promote their doctrine. Jesus warned us about this. The Bible warns us about this. But also this, Jesus said, if you offend a child, the littlest and the least defensive of these, it will be better for you if you would have been either drowned in the depths of the sea, or that you would have never been born, than in the day of judgment. Can I put it in modern day 21st century words? Jesus said, if you abuse a child in a child's innocence, any way, shape, or form, it would have been better for you never to have even had life itself, because I'm going to deal with you personally before the universe as a witness. Pedophiles, you name it. Child molesters, you name it. But the attack has broadened beyond what we would have thought was a once-in-a-while crime perpetrated against a child. Now, state tax dollars, your tax dollars, federal tax dollars are funding what I do believe is this: the resurrection of ancient pagan religions being lived out in our school boards and in our city councils and in our school board education system today, because it's always after the children, always, and it's always pornographic. It's been that way for the last 5,000 years, and you're going to see how the idols have been resurrected, how those ancient Ishtar, Babylonian type idols have come back. I have with us not only a very dear friend, but I'm so happy to report to you guys, for years, wherever there's a fight, if I get a call, Jack, fly here, go there, show up, quick, move, this is what's happening somewhere. When I show up, there's Karen England. She got there before I did. We have with us Karen England, who is a hero in my heart, in my mind, and in my soul. She is a warrior. She may be little, but she packs an overwhelming punch. Why? Because she is a trafficker in truth. She's all about truth. She's all about what's right. And she is out fighting for your children. And Karen England is the president of the Capital Resource Institute. And it started in California. Hey, here's some good news. It started in California, a great thing. And now it's nationally a great thing. It's throughout the nation. So Karen, welcome to the program, and we're so glad to have you. And I'm actually now going to pretty much sit back and let you do what you must do to inform people. And listen, friends, don't you dare turn this off. Make sure there's no young ears around and young eyes around. We're going to tell you things. We're going to show you things that are pornographic. And if you don't like that, if you're too saintly to handle that, and you're just going to draw your blinds while your child gets mentally molested at school, okay, there's something very wrong with you in being complicit to what is happening to your child. So why don't you just, man up for a moment, or woman up for a moment. Let's go to battle. Let's find out what your kids are learning. And the school is intent and committed to making sure you don't know what Karen is about to tell you. So Karen, let it go.
Well, thank you, Pastor Jack, for giving me the platform so that I can let parents know about this, as well as the very kind words. A lot of people have been watching on the news how parents are getting up and reading at school board meetings, the really graphic content, often too graphic to even the school board wants to stop them. One thing that parents don't know is that several years ago, over 40 states, when obscenity laws came about that considers these things obscene, state legislatures went in and they did an exemption on obscenity to public libraries, public schools, and universities. And so this stuff is perfectly legal. So a lot of times I see people go and they read the obscenity laws at the school board meeting, or I've seen a congressional representative send a letter to the school board about the obscene laws. Well, they're exempt from them.
They're protected.
Yeah, they're protected. That doesn't mean you can't remove them, but you can't remove them just because there's a law about obscenity. There's a process you have to go through. And so that's one thing that I think a lot of people are missing out there in the battle. And I think the left loves it because everyone's going down this road on the obscenity and trying to get their DA involved. And there's an exemption on this. And the left wants that. They want you focused on something else.
So, sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
These exemptions came into power by how and by whom?
State legislatures. California's is, I would have to look at the actual date of California, but Nevada, Tennessee, I mean, they're all over. Red states, blue states. Over 40 states have exemptions.
So voting matters.
Voting absolutely matters. And once they get in, I'm going to talk about how these are in all over red states, not just blue states, but red states. Florida, some of these books are in Miami, Florida. People are saying, how can this be?
Oh, we've got to move out of California and go to Florida.
Yeah.
But it's equally perverse.
Oh,
a lot of people don't know, though. They've been
They
lulled
do.
into sleep thinking, whew, I'm out of California. And they just went from the fire to another fire, or even...
They do. And you've heard me. What happens in California doesn't stay in California, including me. And so this stuff is being transferred everywhere. And it's something that I think is really unknown because the media is so busy saying we want to ban books on race or the Holocaust. That isn't what we're trying to do. We want to curate books, and we want to make sure minors aren't accessing erotica, and our school districts are not buying these books, which they are. That's money that could go into the classroom, could go to the teacher.
But listen, before we go on, somebody might be thinking, so banning books, good, bad, we need to think about that. Let me ask you, and I ask from ignorance, I haven't checked. Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler, is that banned in schools or not?
No, it's in the schools. So are a lot of the books on how to build a bomb.
So true. So all you crazy knuckle dragging Neanderthal Christians want to do is ban books. So what they're saying is, if you're anti-Semitism's wrong, but you can read Mein Kampf.
Yeah.
We're not trying to indoctrinate your kids in sexual things, but you have to read this.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the questions I often get is, well, where are these books? And are they assigned? Do kids have to read them? A lot of the AP and honors English, especially in freshman classes, these are a lot of the books that are being assigned to them. As a matter of fact, there was a red state, red county last year that the assignment was, they gave them an entire list of banned books and asked them to first to go through those and decide which ones they wanted to read and do their book report on. Now, we uncovered it, and they backed up a little bit, but these were kids that were doing reports on this pornographic, this banned book thing. I want to talk about that. Do we have Playboy? Is Playboy banned? Is that a bad thing? We don't have Playboy in our public schools, nor should we. That's what this stuff is like. And you know who's the ultimate book banner? The librarian. Because you know what happens? The librarian gets books and they decide what goes in and what doesn't. But are we calling them book banners? No. It's called curating. And parents are getting a bad rap because they want to curate, and they want to make sure that porn isn't right down the hall from our kids with our tax dollars. That is all these parents are trying to do. They are trying to say, hey, I don't want our kids' hearts and minds raped with this kind of information.
I hope you are really saying this. Hey, mom and dad, your kid has access to all of this stuff, and they're being encouraged to read it. I know, Karen England, I know that if you hear this podcast today and what we're going to expose to you, you're going to go do something about it. You're going to go rescue your child. You're going to make a big stink at your local school or district, but you're going to get involved. I can't imagine, Karen, after you give what you're going to give, parents turning a blind eye to this.
I hope not. I know that we recently launched a website, takebacktheclassroom.com, and we are putting every single school district in the nation and a list of the books along with excerpts from the books so that we can help equip parents. Now, right now, we've got 11 states up there, but it's equally divided between red and blue. You would be shocked. These books here, every one of these books is in the reddest of red county, reddest of red state. I've confirmed it. We have it on the website. We show exactly what school district it's in. Most of these books are in most school districts. Again, we've gone through, we're every day we're adding school districts to our list. And these are common books that are in all of our libraries. This one, Push, I have to say, this has been around for about 20 years. I've got a young mom who's on staff with me who went to the high school in her local town. This was the book 10 years ago that everybody was going and checking out.
Now, what's Push? What?
Oh, Push is a really graphic book, pornographic, rape, erotica. I'm just trying to, there's so much. It's incest. I'll just do a little reading.
Please, yes. Listen, parents, remember.
Mama can't fit into the bathtub no more. Go sleep, go sleep, go sleep. It's also not very well written. I tell myself, Mama's hand, creepy spider up my leg, in my pussy. God, please, thank you, God, I say as I fall asleep. That's incest.
Yeah, that's incest. Absolutely.
And let's see. Daddy put his pee-pee smelling thing in my mouth, my pussy, but never hold me.
Yeah. So listen, people, this is what your kids are exposed to, but
I'm
you don't
12
know it.
now. I've been knowing about that since I was 5 or 6. Maybe I always known about pussy and dick. I can't remember not knowing.
There you go, public school. And this explains why our kids are idiots in the international world scene of education.
Yeah. The one, and Senator Kennedy made waves, the all boys aren't blue. This is a very common one.
Make sure everybody sees that
yes.
book cover.
So all boys aren't blue. This is in a lot of high schools. In another red county, red state, this is in a junior high. And right before I came on this podcast, I went and I looked, and it's checked out. You can see most of these books, you can see when they're checked out. And this is checked out. Then they start reading it, and
well, it's got to be great though, Karen, because it's a New York Times
aren't they all
best-selling book here.
Yes.
And
wow.
Yeah,
this one. Oh yes, here we have. This is They're all award winning.
Remarkable.
It's crazy.
Remarkable.
It's absolutely crazy.
So keep going. I take my kid to school, and I think the school has my child's best interest in mind, and I'll pick them up in 6 or 7 or 8 hours, and they enter the classroom on one day, and they're going to be hearing things and being taught things such as
well, let's do a new book that we've uncovered, and it's for children. This is for elementary school, and I'm going to read, I read this a little earlier, and this is just frightening. This is grooming our children. If you care about sex trafficking, you need to care about what's going on, because these books, I assure you, your local school has these, and your public library absolutely has these, whether you're a red state or a blue state. And that's why we cover red and blue states. You are not safe. And the William Wilberforce quote, after today's show, you cannot say you did not know. You cannot turn a blind eye. I'm trying to sound the alarm. Our organization will help you get these removed. So let's see. Why can't young children have sex? Again, this is a book for young children.
Cartoons. Very, very cleverly put together.
Yes, your child may find this. This is a newer book that is just getting on the scene and in school districts, including Red County, Red State, another one of those. Why can't young children have sex? Children don't yet desire sex or sexual intercourse, and their bodies are not ready for sex. It's only later, when you're a teenager or later still as an adult, and that you feel the desire for sex. Here we go. But many kids do like to cuddle or tickle one another under the blankets. There are plenty of different ways to show affection to each other. Some children like to touch their own bodies when they are alone and feel sexual pleasure. This is fine and a good way to get to know your own body and how and where you like to be touched. These are things you can share when you are older and ready to be sexual with other people. What does this do to a young kid whose uncle's molesting them?
It's all acceptable.
Yeah, and this is a new one. So if you're in a new school, I've got a Red County where this is at a brand new school. This is just on the cutting edge. So it may not be everywhere yet, but it's on its way.
Yep.
And so that wasn't even the graphic stuff, but that was, when I read that and saw, it was total grooming. How harmful is that to little kids? And I can see adult perverts using that on kids, reading it, having this book.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's crazy. So yeah, I want to say, takebacktheclassroom.com. The other thing that we're doing is, because you probably don't believe all of this, and so we have free printable PDFs of all the books. So
hold that as still as you can, and Sean's going to kind of take a look at that. This is, your kids are having access to this, mom and dad, caretaker, grandma, grandpa, whoever you might be. They have access to this. And by the way, the curiosity of a child and what they're doing in school, it's going to drive them to this. And anyway.
Yeah. And so they do that. And then, just porn, there's a reason our kids are getting access to it. It's not like you're finding the magazine in a field on the way home.
Right.
It's right down the hall. It's in your public library. I mean, I can't tell you how many parents have their kids, they come home with picture books from the public library. And once they start really looking at it, they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was there. There's a book that's very popular in elementary schools called Bathhouse. And it's about tradition and the Asian tradition of moms and daughters, or moms and kids bathing together. And the left will say, oh, well, this is just cultural appropriation, and that's why we need to have it. Well, no, in America, when minors pick up a book and it's got adult with kids, not even all in the same family, in a big pool naked, that is not what the message kids are getting. And so I don't know why we need to be covering that in kindergarten anyway, and it's called the Bathhouse. I mean, again, they are so sly, because Satan is very crafty in how they do this. The other thing that I think is really important that we've discovered, that a lot of schools, these two authors, one is Ellen Hopkins, and these are series of books. These are books that you would not know. These are the most common everywhere. And as a matter of fact, the criticism is it's heterosexual and white. But there's a whole series of them. So
I don't know if you can see the title, everybody. It's called Tricks.
Yes. Oh, and this is the one. This is about prostitution. And I was kind of upset because they had the age of consent wrong on California. And I thought, can't the author just Google age of consent? I can't feel my mouth or nose, but other parts of my body are begging to be touched. Lucas indulges them too, in his hands and his mouth. I love how he kisses. Love how his fingers move over my body. Everything is hard. Everything is warm. I mean, I could go on.
Public school.
public school, these are very, very common. And then this entire series is in almost every single public school. And I don't think a lot of people know about those. And in all honesty, I hate to give educrats and librarians extra grace, but I think on these two, they just think it's a book and everyone's telling them to get them. And I don't think they even know on those.
Seriously.
And they're poorly written too.
That's no longer.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
That's no longer a
that
standard.
gets them an award, probably.
That's no longer a standard. If you walked by and you saw this book and title, there's nothing that you would think is of child perversion.
Yeah.
And grooming.
No, you wouldn't. And so again, that's why we have the PDFs. And one thing that we're doing is we are not just taking a passage. We are doing, and we show in our PDFs, beginning, middle, and end. So it's not just one rape scene. We are only covering the worst of the worst. But they're everywhere, Pastor Jack. They're everywhere in every public school. And some of these are even in elementary and middle school. And so parents, you're the only one that's going to protect your kids from this, because the schools and the librarians think these are okay. I read this book in a Red County at a school board meeting. They tried to stop me.
Yeah. Make sure everybody listen to this. Listen to this. Please grab this.
So this book is one of the most common books in school districts all over the nation. And I started to read it at a school board meeting in a Red County. And they tried to stop me from reading it. And I said, you've approved this book. This is in the school. So I don't think you want a First Amendment issue. You just don't want me reading this. And that's kind of a First Amendment issue. Still, I did this on July 25th. This book is still in the Red County, in the Red School District, and people are checking it out. That is what is going on. I cannot stress part of my passion, and Pastor Jack, when I just jumped at the opportunity to have this platform, people don't know. I know that they would start protecting their kids if they knew this was going on.
You're more hopeful than I am. I sure hope you're right about that.
You know what? They don't. A lot of people have come to me and said, I didn't know. I have to tell you, I have a mom in our school district where I live that literally I had put a packet together for her, and I wrote at the top every single school that had this book and this book and this book. She carries it in her purse. So when she's meeting with people, she's like, look, this is at this middle school, this high school, this whatever, and it just, because that's what it takes. And that's why we did this, because people don't believe me. That's why going to takebacktheclassroom.com is so important, because we have the actual, if you want to hold up this one on, is that one tricks or traffic or?
Which one is this? Traffic, yeah.
Traffic, okay.
Yep.
So we show you the excerpts from the book. We show you, so you can decide if you think that's appropriate for your kids or not. So if you know this and you don't go check to see if these books are in your school, then you're complicit in allowing it to be there. And you should care about the kids that are left in there that don't have engaged parents. Inner city kids, those kids are already getting a lot of the wrong messages, and no one is. A lot of people ask me, my grandkids are homeschooled, why do I keep doing this? And it is very dark. No one is going to the school boards trying to help those kids. We need to stand in the gap for those kids too, not just our own pulling them out. And those kids are going to be our lawyers, our doctors, our politicians.
Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, here's the reason why I don't think so. They won't know how to spell.
That's okay, spell check.
That's true. There's always AI.
No, I mean, our politicians so far are okay with this, because they haven't really done anything, have they?
In fact, I'm going to jump on what you just brought up. Here's how apathetic and dead the church and or concerned citizens are. Hey, Karen, I saw the podcast and I called our local school district and they said, this is our authority. This is our thing. We did this. We're the ones that are in control. And so a parent, I would think, would say, I'm exempting my kid out of this class, and or whatever they're going to turn around and say, because that kid is a dollar sign, nothing but a walking dollar sign. They're going to somehow come back to the parent and say, you can't do this. You can't expose this. You can't talk about it. You can't threaten this. Are you a Christian? Oh, separation of church and state. You're involving yourself in this. The school system, by and large, pretty much believes that they own your child once they step on the ground.
No, they do, and they think that the parents are the problem. So I love this little segue. First of all, I don't believe anything a school official tells me, even if they're wearing a WWJD bracelet.
That's right.
I hate to say it, but I have found that to be my experience.
Absolutely.
And school districts will lie. I'm convinced that superintendents and teachers go to a special counseling class that tells them how to mislead parents. The school district I was talking about that in Red County that did the banned books week, they came back and said, oh, that was a mistake. It was a first-year teacher. Go ahead.
What's the banned book weeks?
Okay. So the American Library Association, they promote Banned Books Week, and that's coming up the first week in October. And most school districts participate, and most librarians, both in the public library and the public school library, will put out a display of the banned books. And in this school district, they actually had a checklist.
So
they're encouraging you to read books.
So this is a pitch.
A total pitch.
It's a premeditated, certainly a curiosity hook. Ooh, these are banned books. Hey, you want to come and see the banned books? Yeah. Well, of course.
Well, and they're right there front and center in the library, and you'll start to see them this week.
Tactic.
You'll see it in bookstores, you'll see it in the public library, even in the little kids section. Actually coming here, layover in Austin. Took a picture of the book, all of the book. They had several of the books in the young adult section. It's like they're everywhere. But the banned books weeks, the other thing they do is you can look on the internet, and then schools are really proud of it. They have you hold up the book, and they have this like mugshot background. Now, great question. If this is banned, how do I have it in my hand? Mm-hmm. And easily got it off.
That would take a thinking person to
unpack that. Absolutely. But back to the banned books. And so the lesson for this AP English class, a pastor and a congressman found out about it, called the school. The Christian principal said, oh, we pulled the lesson. It was on a first-year student, blah, 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 blah. So I sent out an email saying, victory, we exposed this. First email back to me said they didn't change the lesson. They just removed the list of books off the website, off the Google Doc, and they removed one book. They then told a school board member that, oh, hey, no, none of the banned books were read. And I was telling this board member, yes, they were. We had long back and forth. And I'm like, you can believe me or you can believe them. But I'm telling you, it is not. And if I do a public records request, we're going to have kids that did book reports on the banned books. 2 months later, he finally came back to me and said, you are right. So I said, so what is the consequence for them telling the entire public, sending out an email, telling a congressman, telling a pastor that this lesson was pulled? What is the consequence?
Removal from office.
Well, that's what I would think. But of course, absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not even a file in this teacher. This is a red county and a red state.
But 20 parents could show up to a board meeting and say, this Christian principal lied to us, and we want him immediately extracted by the Navy SEALs if necessary.
Well, yes, and of course, you know me, Pastor Jack, I did it. And it was interesting because when I went to the school board meeting and I was going to talk about it, he was there getting some, awards with kids, and I felt the need as a believer. I went up to him, and it's the first time I met him, my husband knew him, and I said, I need you to know that I'm going to be talking about you when I get up there. And so I was like, you just need to know because you lied. Now, whether he was lied to, I don't know. But I know the public was lied to. And he's the ultimate.
He's the authority.
Exactly. And so I don't say it lightly when I say that I just don't believe school districts anymore. And you can't. And it's an easy stick your head in the sand if you do. You need to really look into this.
Shouldn't parents just start adopting across all these 50 states? Shouldn't parents just start adopting some sort of a routine where, hypothetically, let's just pick on Los Angeles, that some concerned parents, let's say there's 100 of them. The school board is what, once a month?
Twice
a month? couldn't out of the 100 of them say, hey, you take these dates, I'll take these dates, you take these dates, and we start auditing these meetings, and we just sit there, we're quiet. We either record or we write, and we start now making this information public. If somebody did that, it's not going to take many people.
No, absolutely. I will tell you that we were able to get 2 books removed in our local school district, and we had to go through the process. But the good news on that is the process stinks, and almost every state has and school district has a really bad process, that the same people that put these books in are the ones that decide if they're appropriate or not.
How convenient.
So we have a policy, and at takebacktheclassroom.com, we have a Remove Porn in Schools toolkit, where we talk about the obscenity laws. We talk about there are First Amendment issues, so you have to be careful with what you challenge so you don't end up in court. And we have a model policy that legal has approved. And our first school district, I'm not going to share where yet, but our first school district will be passing that in August or in October. What that policy says is the minute a book is challenged, it's immediately removed by the principal, and within 45 days, the school board has to have a hearing on it. So let's say 10 are removed, they schedule a hearing. If I read this and I find out a school board member votes to keep this in a school with 14-year-olds, I'm running someone for office to get them out of office.
That's great campaign stuff.
Absolutely.
Let them own it, tie it around their neck.
Absolutely. And that is why we're really pleased with the policy. We wrote and worked with some legal counsel on the specific policy, because most of them, they have a committee, and it includes the principal and teachers, and it's all in secret. And that's what the American Library Association wants. So again, our toolkit has a model policy. You can adapt it for your local school district, no matter what state you're in. We want to help you. That's the way to get this exposed, get these off the shelves when they're challenged. And you know what? People are going to challenge the Bible. The left is going to come in and challenge the Bible. Well, you know what? First of all, I don't think our kids are running in there reading the Bible. But secondly, if it means getting rid of this smut, I'm okay if a Bible isn't in the public school library.
Oh, yeah. No problem with that.
Yeah.
No problem with
So
that at
again,
all.
I want to know that school board member too that says, yeah, let's get the Bible out. You know, they'll come in and say, oh, Song of Solomon. Yeah. So.
Well, in California, we become real big fans. It took us too long to wake up to this, but when some lunatic legislator has an idea and thinks that this should be a bill, we're really big on having everybody know, hey, see that gal, see that guy? They're the inventor of XYZ sex bill. And we will not stop blowing that horn because it's 100% biblical. Somebody might be thinking, oh my goodness, I thought this was a Christian podcast. Yeah, it is. Real Christianity in 2 Corinthians 10:6 says, by our obedience to Christ, we're to punish all disobedience of evil that is around us. And you don't see that happening anymore. Although, thank God for people like you here in England and what you're doing. What's next? You've got so much stuff.
Well, the other one that I want to talk about that really isn't on any lists, and this is one that we were able to get taken out of the school in a red county in a red state. Wow. But this is common. This is a newer one. But the scary thing with this book is, and this again, they always get one step ahead of us. So at the end of every chapter, there are QR codes. Now, when you go to this QR code, it takes you to a Planned Parenthood site. A lot of them, like on the how to have trans sex, takes you to a site where you have to say you're 18, and it is some of the just disgusting pornographic stuff.
Like what?
Like strapped on body parts. I mean, full on having sex, naked bodies.
This is for kids.
Yeah, for kids.
This is for your kids.
Then we all know in this digital, and again, they're crafty because again, parents aren't going in, and the Lord has been so good in just when He just will tap me and say, get that book. Like, why are these QR codes? And then I started to go through them. And by the way, at Kitchen Table Activist, our Instagram and all of that, you can see we actually did a video showing where you go to the page, you go to this. But every one of these takes you to a Planned Parenthood site. It takes you, like on the one on...
Isn't it funny? It's an educational book found in the public school systems, steering your child to Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
What's what could possibly be the connection between what they're being taught. Notice this. Hey, kids, you got to read this book because we think it's great. And, oh, by the way, if you read it and do it, you're going to need Planned Parenthood.
Yes, absolutely. So you go to these, but here's the thing, and we know this, anyone that has ever been on Facebook and all of a sudden something you're talking about, and then all of a sudden all these Facebook ads start showing up,
sure.
or you've Googled something. The way this one works, this goes through the author's QR codes. So when your child scans this, they are then going to be targeted with additional ads, with additional porn, with additional information on this. This one of the chapters on transitioning tells you how to get chest binders, where you can go without parents knowing. I mean, everything is in here. Here's the thing. They're after our kids, Pastor Jack, and you've heard them, especially this last year, whether it's the drag queens or at the gay pride parades, we're after your kids. Are we going to believe them?
Really, exactly. Why don't we believe them? They are so brazen, and they're banking on the parent not caring and acting.
Well, because they haven't, and really until COVID, now we see this wave, and it's funny and not funny.
Yeah,
but
thank God for COVID in that.
Well,
last
it
aspect,
is,
huh?
and we see all of these people that are fighting about the sex ed and how graphic it is in California. Well, that's been around since 2015, and there were only 3 groups: Real Impact, our group, that opposed that bill and we were trying to tell everyone, hey, this is going to mean anal sex in elementary school. This is going to mean this, and people just thought we were crazy.
That's right.
And that it was all hyperbole. And so, please take this seriously. These are our kids. You cannot unrape their mind. And
That's
some
right.
of these are well written, and that's where it does imprint. And I was reading about erotica, because this falls under kind of the erotica. The thing that is erotica is a little bit different than some of the ones with the pictures, the actual picture porn. It leaves a lot to imagination, and you start to visualize. And I was reading how bad that is for teens, especially early on when they're developing their worldview on sex and all of that.
Absolutely.
And again, it's natural for kids to be curious about their body, to be curious about their feelings. You pile this stuff on, we are going to have one messed up generation. And we wonder why kids are committing suicide. We wonder why kids are assaulting other kids. We're reading about that more and more in school. We wonder why there's sexual assaults in school.
Wow, you know what? So every man knows. I don't care what worldview you have. I don't care what party, animal, donkey, elephant, what state, blue, it doesn't matter. Every man knows that the first time in some way, shape, or form he saw something he ought not to see, he knew it. He knew he should not be seeing this. And the second thing is, he never looked at any female the same after that, ever. Now, I don't know how it is for females. I don't plan on becoming one, because even if I tried, I can't. But for a guy, there's a day that he sees something, and forever his mind works different. And I challenge every man that's watching this right now. You can lie and post against what I just said all you want. You are an absolute liar if you contradict what I'm saying. Every guy knows it.
Yeah.
Few will admit it. But when you see that picture, which is why it's important to them to have these illustrations, it forever changes, at least the boy. I can only come from the guy's side.
No, and I will tell you, the field story was my husband, and he will tell you and how he remembered it. I also have 2 boys, so obviously we've had these conversations, and you're right. I will say my husband often says, Karen, where are the men fighting this? And I'm like, I don't know, but until they do, I've got to keep doing it.
Maybe they don't want to.
Well, yeah. And I mean, it is. It's a very dark. It's on the days when because I choose to do all the going through and highlighting these. And I don't want any other young mind that to have to go through this. I mean, until the Lord gives another person, and it's really clear that, because it's dark. There was a day I did 15 hours when we launched our website of just highlighting. It was just so disgusting. Couple of things I want to leave everybody with are some new statistics. So 12 years is the average age for exposure to pornography. I'm sure that's getting younger, this is a study done 2 years ago, 15% of the respondents reported seeing online porn before the age of 10. We also know that when that's happening, they then need to go see it again or more. 75% of kids at age 17 have viewed pornography. 52% reported seeing violent pornography, including media that depicts what appears to be rape, choking, or someone in pain.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
These books have rape, choking, all throughout them. And they're in our public schools, and they're being purchased with your tax dollars.
Yep. Isn't it amazing, Karen, that and forgive me because I'm not sure about the term, is it virtual signaling or something else, where the very purveyors of this stuff will yell and scream about women's rights, protecting women. They scream and holler about the atrocities. Child Protection Agency needs to get involved regarding this kid. This kid broke his finger on the swing set. Oh my gosh, they just send up skyrockets of warning and all. But that's what they say over here. And all the Christians and conservative and the moralist runs over here, and they're all focused at this while they take the 90% of the field and run with the ball.
Yep.
While we're over here trying to figure out what foot is left or right. And the perversion, notice, again, I mentioned it earlier. I believe, based on the Bible, that it begins and ends in religion. Perversion, all pagan worship practices outside of Christianity and Judaism have child perversion. It's focusing on the child. And all of the ancient religions that were responsible for such horrific rape, murder of children to their gods are starting to resurface. It's hard for us to believe this. But if you read the practices of Babylonian worship systems, you'll be shocked to find out that it's exactly what it is happening here. How to worship Diana. It doesn't say say how to worship Diana, but it tells you how to worship Diana.
Yeah.
These are spiritual issues because we were created in the image of God, and Satan hates that, and he hates kids.
And they're biblical issues. And this idea that Satan isn't in red states is just crazy. Where do you think he's, he's kind of done he's done his work in California. So this idea that they're not, where a Christian principle might be, where do you think he really is going?
Yeah.
I often like to listen to the Screw Tape letters because it just is such a good reminder. I listen to that audiobook and it's like, wow, if I wanted to, this is exactly how I would get that generation. And then I wanted to mention that this one, women and Christian women, romance novels, that's kind of become a big thing. And these books, this author is in most school districts. But
Sarah Moss?
Yes. And it's a whole series. I don't know. There's probably 10 or 12 books. They're all bad. Oh, okay. Masterful storytelling from a #1 New York Times bestselling author brings her sexy, action-packed series to new heights. Why is this?
For kids.
For kids. But it's hooking girls now more and more because it's got these kind of,
the story,
and that's the plan to do that. So I just hope that parents will reach out to us. We want to help you get the policy passed. You can get these books removed. Like I said, reading them, which is why we did the PDFs, is the best thing to do where you've got the proof. And that's why I hate to give these people money by purchasing these books, but I feel like it's really, it's the only way.
Yes,
it's the only way that we're going to be able to push back with truth and not be discredited by saying, oh, that's not really in that book. It's hard to defend this stuff.
Yeah.
So you go read this.
Yep.
Those people, you don't want them by your children that are okay with this.
We have a couple of minutes left. I want you to answer these questions for the people. I'm the people on the other side of the camera. What can I do about it? Number 2 is there any way for me to amass a group or somehow connect in my community with like-minded parents who want to do something about it? the third thing is, what is it in ending? How can you shock us into action? So
you want more reading from me, Pastor Jack?
I got enough. We have enough from you. I want them.
Yeah.
But.
Well, a couple of things. Yes, you can actually get this stuff removed, and our organization will help you. You can join with other parents. We will do Zoom calls. We will help you on the law, no matter what state you're in. I can navigate, what your personal laws are on this. Like I mentioned, Florida, everybody was shocked when they found out this stuff was in Florida this last week, a bunch of these books, because they're just assuming, because they believe what they're seeing on TV. But if you aren't actively going in and getting this stuff removed and holding these people accountable to some of the laws, this stuff is there, and we've seen it too. Teachers' unions are pushing back. And so we want to help the parents. We will put you with like-minded people. I will testify at a school board meeting. Like you said, I like to go and show up for whatever reason.
You always beat me to every fight I show up at.
I love school board meetings. I love staying up till 1:30 in the morning. I watch them on TV. That's the other thing. Moms and dads can watch school board meetings and figure out what's going on. You can have it on the TV. I watch school board meetings all over the country. You're cooking dinner, school board meetings on while I'm cooking dinner. And so you can find out where your school board members stand and what's going on. And it's really easy with technology to be a kitchen table activist. And so you can do it. And all I can say is these numbers about how young our kids are accessing porn, and that now porn is right down the hall of the local school when you drop your kid off. How can you drop them off and not do something knowing there's porn in that building? Mm-hmm. Really, honestly, that is a serious question. How can you be complicit in this when you drop them, knowing it's in there? And that even if your kid isn't going to access it, some other innocent child is going to have their mind raped by it.
We're going to make sure that at the end of this program that you can click on the link in the descriptions there for you to connect with everything that Karen is saying. I know this has been a really serious and heavy podcast. However, it must be. We are at war. Your children, as it has been throughout history, if it's Pharaoh or if it's Herod, or Zeus or Diana, the children are the targets. Of course, that's because Satan wants to destroy. If he can destroy kids, he's got the culture. I think it was Fidel Castro who said something, if I have the children by the age of 5, I've got them for the rest of their lives, something to that effect. Years ago, Karen showed me some of the things that were in some of the books, and they were cartoons, but they were extremely well done by way of quality, detail. And they were telling kids what to do. And I have to tell you that I grew up in a non-Christian home in a very sexually charged age in the 60s and 70s. And my perverted mind had never even thought of those things.
Yeah.
I was shocked. And it's almost like what Mike Huckabee said about the bathroom bill. Mm-hmm. Remember, if a boy can use a girl's bathroom. And he was serious, but he made us laugh when he said, gosh, when I was 15, I was trying to think of a way how I could sneak a peek in the girls' shower and locker room. So, we'd kick the ball accidentally through the doorway. Yep. And now the state of California or the state of Colorado or Florida is saying, hey, you can just walk on into the bathroom. That kind of stuff. Why? I want to ask you, why do you think this is happening? And woe, and I mean this, woe to the Christian who turns their eye away from this. You are absolutely derelict while on duty. The Bible says if we know that something is sin and we do not do anything about it, we're going to be judged for that. Yep. This is our moment, and we're going to be making these things always more public. I'm already thinking in my mind, Karen, maybe this Sunday, maybe in a couple of Sundays, the timing, I'll get together to ask you when will be the best effect. But even before I teach the sermon, I want to be able to have Sean and his graphics team put up on our big screens. I want people to see these. And I want to say something in 3 to 5 minutes about how you must know and become familiar with these books, because your kids they're learning all about them. And instead of your child being able to compete with the European kids in math or engineering or chemistry or biology, your kids cannot. They're not being taught. See if your kid can spell or read or think, use critical thinking skills. What are they learning about world history? Where was the Vietnam War fought, for example? Do they know the answer to that? Is the earth flat or round? What's the truth of the sciences? What can we know? No. The American child is not learning that stuff. They're learning this. And I conveniently have this in a pile, it turns out. And I'm thinking about, if you like it or not, I sound like Gavin Newsom. You're going to do it.
You need more hand motions.
You're going to do it if you like it or not. Well, you know what? God is going to someday take this stuff, and before he burns it, according to the scriptures, those who have perpetrated these evils against children, their eternity doesn't fare well for them.
And nor should it.
And it won't. You want to know why? Because the God of the Bible is just. And he will bring justice. Right? Everybody wants to talk about justice. Are you sure? Because the God of all righteousness is going to bring justice. So once again, listen, if you would go to the link and the subscription, share this everywhere you can. We've got to come back and do this again because it's just too much. And I know you've got so much more. And I have to tell you, this is the most subdued I've ever seen Karen. She's usually the mama bear for you, but now the fight is so big. She needs you. She needs us. So
absolutely. And Pastor Jack, it's a little hard to come, get really animated about porn with Pastor Jack. So yeah, but I will come to a school board meeting. I'm there to help protect the kids. And so use me, use our organization. We exist for this. We want to help this stuff. You've got the American Library Association, George Soros. The other side is so much funding. You've got the teachers union. We want to come alongside because parents want to do something. They just don't know how.
They're not organized.
Yeah, and we want to help.
So the website is?
TakeBackTheClassroom.com. You can get our toolkit. You can see the books there. If your school district isn't on there yet, it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of resources. We're adding new school districts, new states, and new books every single week. So check back if the book isn't there, or contact us and we'll help you research your district and get it up online.
Awesome. Absolutely. So listen, we believe that it's time for us to live out, right, what we believe in. It's time for real life, and this is it. So God bless you guys. We'll catch you next time.
This Jack Hibbs podcast, as well as all the broadcast outreach opportunities, are listener supported. Will you consider partnering with us through a special gift? Go to jackhibbs.com to learn more and stay connected.